So here we mixed red and its complement green. Then we mixed blue with its complement orange. We found that when they were next to each other, they were high in contrast, meaning they were very different from each other. And visually, they made each other stand out. They emphasized each other. Here we notice that when we mix them out in different ratios, here we had orange with a bit of blue in it, or blue with a bit of orange in it, or half and half, right? And then here we had green with a little red in it, red with a little green in it, and half and half. We notice that the half and half usually comes out to be some form of brown. And using the watercolors, the browns were like a touch more obvious here, just because they're a bit lighter. Okay, so the middle one should always be some shade of brown. So let's try the last pair here, and that is violet and yellow. So again, your 12 tube color set probably doesn't have a violet in here, but we know from creating watercolor or acrylic color wheels the other day that if you mix an ultramarine blue with a crimson red, you get a nice violet. So I'm going to get my palette out here, my plate, squeeze out some ultramarine blue. Or sorry, not ultramarine blue. I accidentally used my watercolor here. I'm going to use my lake blue. Remember, stick to whatever blue you were using here. So scrap that. We're going to use lake blue if we're using acrylic. Just to keep this worksheet consistent, always stick with the same blue or the same red that you started with. Okay, and I'm going to make a violet, so I'm going to add some crimson red. And the opposite of the violet is medium yellow, or you can use lemon yellow. But again, I started using medium yellow on this sheet, so I'm just going to continue with the same one. Okay, and I'm going to mix a little bit of the blue into my red and a little bit more until I see a purple color. And again, with the acrylic, the purple seems pretty dark when you mix it using just primary colors, but you can always lighten it up by adding some white. Okay, but let's do straight on purple here, fully saturated. And then we're going to do some violet in here. Okay, and then I'm going to do fully saturated yellow next to it. So nothing makes yellow pop more than purple. Nothing makes purple pop more than some yellow close by. And they pop most when they are fully saturated. So 100% themselves, unaltered, straight out of the tube, pure version of themselves. Okay, when you have those two next to each other in their purest form, they really, really stand out. It's a very bold combination. Okay, so here I'm going to do my last primary in this row here. And I'm going to introduce a little bit of my violet into my yellow and see what happens. Okay, again, you should get kind of like a bruised banana color. And then I'm going to mix more violet. This time I'm going to try to achieve half and half. Keep on adding violet until you get some form of brown. Okay, I think I'm starting to see a brown here. Okay, and last but not least here, I'm going to do mostly purple with a touch of yellow. So I'm just going to take a little touch of the yellow and bring it into my purple over here. So with the acrylics, it looks really, really dark. And if we had more time, every time we created a color, we could have added a little bit of white paint to it and tested it out to see what it looks like when it's lightened, because it makes a big difference. But again, we don't have the time for that. Okay, but at least you know now how to create some earthy tones. And again, if you're working with acrylics and you're working on your painting, you might have to mix these colors to create that right color, but then later on, I'm going to show you guys if I introduce this color into white. Okay, look at the difference there when it's tinted. It's like a nice grayish violet color. Right? So with acrylics, they come out a little bit darker when you mix them, but once you add white to them, they come out really nice. So we were taking like a really long time to do this worksheet and we tried to tint every single one, you would see the nice array of pastel-y versions of all of these new hues that we created. Okay, but again, all you have to do is just the basic mixings for me to show me that you know the method of coming up with a variation of browns and a variation of more natural colors that you would see in nature by mixing those complementary pairs. Okay, and you're going to submit those for marks when you complete them to the appropriate job box for earth tones.